insight about the relationship between various variables, the immediate question that can come in your mind is that what does correlation measure? Why am I using correlation in economics? If you are going to look into age and performance, now this is going to be one of the most important tools. We're going to talk about the product momentum correlation effect. Spearman rank correlation was created by a great Good morning and welcome to the first session of Chapter 7, Correlation. First PUC Economics. This is a very important chapter because we are going to understand the meaning of correlation and the importance of it in terms of statistics. So this chapter is going to provide you an insight about the relationship between various variables and how we are going to use it in terms of economics. So quickly moving forward, the topics that we are going to cover today is the introduction. What does correlation measure? Absolutely wonderful and very important because it is going to tell you some important aspects in economics. Types of correlation, of course there are many types which we are going to look into it. Techniques for measuring correlation, that is also a mandatory part. Now the scatter diagram, which is going to be used as a part of your graph. Karl Pearson's coefficient, one of the most important factor that has been used in statistics, and Spearman rank correlation. That's also a very important theory on which we are going to look into. So now moving forward, the introduction to correlation. What does it really matter? Correlation analysis is a means of examining such relationships systematically. Now, if I'm going to say that a variable A is related to variable B, the immediate question that can come in your mind is that how is it related? In what sense are we talking about? How is that these two functional variables are related? What is the connection between both of them? So that is where correlation comes into picture. So it says that the relationship between the movements in quantity demanded and the price of a commodity is an integral part. Of course, you will be studying it in your higher class, in your class 12 altogether. But then this is an example which I want to quote here right now. The movement of price with relation to demand. The movement of price with related to quantity. So now you are able to see that there are two factors which are interrelated. So if I take A as price and B as the quantity demanded, now you will be able to come to a conclusion and try to understand that there is a relationship between both the variables. So if the quantity demanded goes up, that means the price will go down, vice versa altogether. So this is where we are trying to make a relationship, we are trying to make an understanding between two variables. So that is the base level of understanding correlation. Now moving forward, what does correlation measure? Why am I using correlation in economics? What does it actually help us in measuring? The first thing, it studies and measures the direction and intensity of relationship among variables. Now we know direction. That's a common word. Why? Because direction can be either on the positive side or on the negative side. If all of them are moving towards one particular side on the same direction, then they are positive. If they are moving in the opposite side, then they are negative altogether. So one forward direction, they are positive. One reverse direction, they are negative. But then this word called as intensity matters a lot when it comes in terms of correlation. What is the word intensity and how does it matter when it comes to economics? Intensity means the level of relationship, the levels at which these two variables are interrelated. So if I say that price is highly dependent on demand, quantity is highly dependent on supply, that means the intensity of relationship between the two variables is definitely on the higher scale. It is definitely on a larger scale altogether. So like this, when we start looking at variables, now for example, the relationship between an employee and salary, the relationship between career and performance. So there is an intensity, there is a meaning behind these two variables. So the level at which they both get interconnected, the level at which they need to be understood. So that's where the correlation comes into it. At what direction they are moving, in what intensity are they related. So that will be measured through correlation. The second factor, the covariation and not causation. Now this factor needs to be understood clearly. Covariation, which means when one variable moves, what happens to the other variable. I am not looking here for the root cause analysis. So that's why I say not on causation but on covariation, which means to say that I want to see how one variable behaves with relation to the other variable. So there is a variation, there is a movement with regard to one variable. So that's what we call it as covariation. Now, correlation should never be interpreted as implying cause and effect relation. And this is a very, very important thing in economics that we need to know, especially in statistics. When we are doing a correlation analysis, this is not trying to talk about a cause and effect. To give you a simple example, what causes flood in our country? Now the answer might be because of heavy rainfall. Now this is theoretically which I am trying to say. So when you do a correlation between soil and flood or a particular place and flood, now immediately you cannot say that the place gets flooded because of rain, the place gets attacked by some other factor. Correlation is not trying to make you understand the cause and effect. How it happens, why it happens is not correlation's problem. Correlation's problem analysis is primarily about only those two variables. If a place is getting flooded, why it is getting flooded, we don't want to know, because that is geographical, that is nature oriented. What we want to know is that, is flood related to that place? If the answer is yes, then we can do a correlation. We can find out flood to that particular area. That's all. We don't want to get into the root cause analysis, and correlation does not want to do that. The third and the fourth factor which comes here is the correlation between two variables x and y means that when the value of one variable is found to move in one direction, then automatically if y also moves in the same direction, then we are in positive correlation. If x moves in one direction, y moves in another direction, then they are negatively correlated. So that is how you will try to understand the meaning of correlation. So when one variable moves in one direction and the other variable also follows the same direction, then they are positively correlated. When x moves in one direction and y moves in the other direction, that is in opposite direction, then we call it as negatively correlated. Now, moving forward, the types of correlation. Correlation is commonly classified into negative and positive. That was what I was trying to explain you in the previous slide. Now, the previous slide, as I have told you, when they move in the same direction, then they are positive. When they move in the opposite direction, then they are negative. Now, many a times how this can be understood. We all know about a factor called as BMI, body mass index. Now, what is this going to measure us? It is going to see the measurement of body weight with regards to our height. So there is some relationship on which they are able to detect and tell us whether a person is obese or whether a person is fit or he is highly obese or he is underweight, overweight. All those conclusions are able to come using the body mass index. Now, this has got a relationship which you need to understand. Now, for example, if the height and weight are exactly matching, they are in the same line, then it is on the positive side. If the height is shorter and the weight is more, that means you are supposed to be overweight altogether. Now, why is that factor? Why is the example being brought to you? Is that because of the correlation. When the height is more and weight is less, then automatically automatically it has its own relationship. It is on the negative side altogether, because height is going towards a positive, weight is going towards a negative side. Similarly, when you start looking into variables which are going in opposite direction, now for example, if you are going to look into age and performance, there are two different factors. Though it's theoretically believed that when people are young, they are dynamic, they will be able to perform more. But then if you are able to see the other way around, there are people who would, even at the age of 60 years, are able to perform like youngsters. Then automatically what happens, age and performance becomes two different factors altogether in that case. So similarly, in correlation, what we are trying to say here is that when the two variables are in same direction, we call it positive. When the two variables are in opposite direction, we call it as negative correlation. Now, moving forward, the techniques of measuring the correlation. How can you measure correlation? What is the tool that we have? What is the ideology that we have in terms of measuring? So we have the scatter diagrams, we have the Karl-Pearson coefficient, and the Spearman rank. These are the three factors that we are going to use in terms of economics. Those three factors, again, I'm going to repeat: the scatter diagram, the Karl-Pearson, and the Spearman rank coefficient. Now, this is going to be one of the most important tools that has been used by the economists worldwide in terms of understanding correlation or the relationship between the various variables. This is highly important for you to learn, because it will help you in statistics. It will also help you to understand economics better. Now, moving forward, the scatter diagram. The word itself is quite interesting for us to learn. Scatter diagram, which means to say that it's a very useful technique for visually examining the form of relationship. Now, anything that is visually examined, that's visually presented to a student or to anybody, is more appealing rather than just words. So scatter diagram is probably one of the most interesting technique and tool that can be used in order to represent a correlation. So a scatter diagram would be something like this, where you can see that the points are scattered around a particular range. Now, the moment you see the scatter diagram, you will be able to see that there are some points which are inclined towards x-axis and which are inclined towards the y-axis. Now, this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis altogether. Now, when you start seeing that, you will be able to understand the inclination factors altogether. Now, in this technique, what we do is that the value of two variables are plotted on a graph paper. So I'm going to plot the value of x, comma, y on a graph paper. So that's what we are going to do first. From the scatter diagram, one can get a fairly good idea. Now, that's where I want to emphasize again. Fairly good idea, which means 80% of the time you might be right, or 70% of the time you might be right. We are not going into accuracy, so I'm just going to stop you there by saying that 70 to 80% of the time, yes, you know what is the combination, what is the correlation that is happening altogether. So, in a scatter diagram, the degree of closeness in the scatter point will tell you the overall direction, enabling us to examine the correlation. So which means to say, closer the values like this, the more they are closer, that means they are highly correlated. They are highly linked to each other. But if you see a correlation diagram like this, where you see that a point is here, then some points are here like this, then they are not closely knitted together. They are not closely correlated. That means they don't have much of efficiency in terms of relating to each other. So if all the points lie on the same line, I'm going back to my previous graph, the correlation is perfect and it is said to be in unity, which means they are in tandem, they are perfectly matching, and they are on a straight line. So that's where you see that correlation has been perfectly matched, and yes, these two variables will make a great presence altogether. Now, these scatter points are widely dispersed around. If they are widely dispersed around, then the correlation is low. That means they are not that effectively related. If they are scattered all around and you see that they are not getting onto one straight line altogether, that means the correlation effect is extremely low. Now, moving forward, The next factor called as the Karl-Pearson methodology. Now this Karl-Pearson is one of the most important thing. Why? Because we're going to talk about the product momentum correlation effect, or a simple correlation coefficient. Now let's try to decode and understand it in simpler English, in simpler meaning altogether. It gives a precise numerical value of the degree of linear relationship between two variables x and y. So now let's consider two variables x and y. Now how are these two variables related? That's what we are going to see. So it is important to note that Karl-Pearson's correlation should be used only when there is a linear relationship between the variable. So the link between x and y is in such a manner that they are on a linear mode, they are on the straight line, they are closely related. That's where Karl-Pearson's coefficient can be efficiently used. When there is a non-linear relationship, now for example x and y are not related, they are on the opposite sides to each other, then what happens? In calculating correlation can be misleading. That word is very, very important. That's why I'm underlining it. Can be misleading, which means to say that you might get confused, you might not get a clear picture altogether. So repeating again here, unless and until both the variables are found to have linear, which means they are on the straight line, they are closely related, then only Karl-Pearson's coefficient will be the most effective method to use. If they are not closely related, they are opposite to each other, they are moving against each other, they are not non-linear in nature, then the results can be misleading altogether. So this is what you need to keep in mind and then go forward. The reason here is that most of the time in statistics we tend to use tools, or we tend to use techniques based on the type of problem. But many a times what people feel is that there is automatically a formula available, so just fit in the formula, we will be able to get an answer. But that is not true when it comes to economics or to statistics. You need to know the type of problem, the nature of problem, and then apply the relevant formula, the relevant technique, so that you are able to get the exact answer. So the desire of a researcher is to find out a clear-cut objective, a clear-cut relationship between the variables that are taken in the subject. Going forward, now we move to the Spearman rank correlation. Now the word itself is quite interesting for us to know. Spearman rank correlation was created by a great eminent statistician and psychologist known as C.E. Spearman. He was a British person by origin. So he created this correlation with this formula. This formula is given in your textbook. This is highly important formula, and this correlation coefficient is used to measure the linear association between the ranks assigned to the units and not to their values. This is where we are going to now try to understand the concept altogether, the ranks and not the values. Now let me try to tell you what is the meaning of rank and value. Now for example, rank 1 and value 1 are not the same. Value 1 is just the number taken up by that. Rank means the priority, the range at which it is, the lining at which it is. That means which is on the top rank, which is in the top order, the second order, third order, fourth order. Now the value given might be different for that. So Spearman's coefficient will try to calculate on the rank factor and not on the value factor. So when we rank down the variables, based on the ranking is where the Spearman coefficient comes into picture and not on the absolute value. So you need to keep this in your mind when you are going to solve the problem using the Spearman coefficient altogether. Now the formula that has been given here, 6 sigma di squared divided by n into n squared minus 1. This is the formula. Now this formula is available in your textbook. This formula is what we are going to use to solve the problems in the coming sessions. Now moving forward, with this, we come to the conclusion for today's session. I hope and believe that this chapter was interesting, useful, and informative. In the coming sessions, we will be solving problems in correlation. We will be trying to understand the further metrics of correlation. Until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and stay enlightened forever. Thank you once again for joining me today.